The contemporary situation is secular, it is pluralistic, it is a difficult situation to operate in, but it's as close to the apostles. And when I hear people, and if you come up to me and tell me after this, it's so hard being a Christian in 2020, read your New Testament. It was also hard then, okay? And they didn't have established churches. We have the tradition of the church fathers and apologetics and a lot of resources going our way. But pluralism, the multiplicity of religious options, prevails now. The general view is that Christianity is not providing anything that you can't get from other religions. And liberal Christians back this up. More damage has been done apologetically to Christianity from those within supposedly our camp, who I'd like to trade a bunch of them. I'd like to have a draft and send liberal ministers far away, and then bring people in from other countries who are open to the gospel. Because liberal Christians, particularly ministers who've degraded Scripture's reliability and authority and gone after the person and work of Christ, are a nemesis. And their view is that Christianity doesn't depend on facts, evidence, the case for Christianity at all. And if there's a hell, it consists of a few white men who are billionaires. But that's about all that it consists of. Christian has nothing to do with weighing evidence and coming to a personal verdict and decision for Jesus Christ. The evangelical wing of the Christian church has in some sectors rendered apologetics for intellectuals and people who like to win arguments. Apologetics is not about winning arguments. Apologetics is about defending the faith. In short, you are not the remedy, and that's the best news there could be. Apologetics is not about you, and that's good news, not bad news. You are the disease. Gosh, he's upright. I've always wanted to tell a large group that. Not coronavirus, you, me. We are the disease, and that's why the remedy has to be as severe, that God became man in the person of his Son, lived a perfect life in our stead, and died an atoning death on Calvary's cross and was risen again for our justification. That's why we need to do apologetics, the contemporary pluralistic situation. And finally, how it's done with gentleness and reverence, and I'll end with this. I unashamedly ask you to read. Buy books in the back. Of course, if you buy my books, there's a meritorious entrance into heaven on that. No, unfortunately, the Lutherans have dealt with that very thoroughly back in the Reformation, and I'm not going to be allowed to create a system like that. But you ought to read widely, extensively in areas that you're not comfortable with, and we'll talk about that today when we talk about the tender-minded, the artistic works that we need to be familiar with, and particularly the works of J.S. Bach this day. The greatest evangelist of the people of Japan in history is J.S. Bach, and we'll find out why this afternoon. Apologetics is to be done with gentleness and with reverence. The good news is it's not about you or your obedience or your church attendance or your anything. That's why it's good news that apologetics is all about Christ's life, Christ's death, Christ's resurrection. Apologetics is not about you, and that's the best news there could ever be. Thank you.